Welcome back to Backward Playing Podcast, PSL Daily number 2. And yes, because this is a Pakistan cricket podcast right now and we are talking about the PSL, of course there's going to be technical difficulties. And of course there's going to be days that we miss. And it happened to be the second day. And Bashar, nobody told me it was a doubleheader. So I was sitting here. I was like, yo, let's take the day off. It's a Saturday. You got plans. I got plans. Let's go out. And we come back and there's already a doubleheader. And so we're going to be turning this into more of a weekend roundup of the PSL games that went by. 3 games happened. We're going to be discussing all of it with me, as always, my brother, my co-host, the most reliable Bashar Sayed.
Of course, we missed the second day of the PSL daily coverage, but we're back. This is day 3 of the PSL and second episode of this
People
PSL
said
daily.
there's conspiracy theories already going around that Backward Point missed the second day because Rizwan was playing and they lost.
Well, I think the conspiracy theorists should have been more active because if Rizwan lost, and allegedly this podcast is as an anti-Babar podcast, because since the last year and a half, the checks have stopped coming from Psycorps.
Yes, the checks.
People used to say we're Babar Glazers and Rizwan Glazers, and now things have changed. I'll tell you why. It's because the checks have stopped coming in from Psycorps, and they've started coming in from Sendwave.
Great segue. Sendwave is our partner this PSL. Sendwave is a money transfer company. If you guys have not heard already, we are working with them throughout the PSL. And the wonderful thing about Sendwave is that they have some of the most competitive rates, especially if you're in the US. You really feel a difference when you're sending more than $100. You'll see this discrepancy between other money transferring companies and Sendwave. And we've moved our apparatus of sending money back home to Pakistan from the other companies to Sendwave. And Sendwave was generous enough to give us a code. What is the code, Bashar?
Score PK. And I actually sent some money back to Pakistan recently using Sendwave, and I noticed that it was fast, secure, and no sending fees.
No sending fees is actually really, really cool because, some people send a lot of money back home and then sending fees is a ratio of how much money you're sending. You save that amount, just the exchange rate fees, and you have yourself a good time. And if you use the code SCOREPK, you get $10 off of your first transfer. That's a deal. That's a deal right there.
Let's talk about the first match of this.
Let's talk about the scores in the PK, in the PSL.
Score PK.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Peshawar Zalmi versus Gorda Gladiator was the first match that happened on Saturday, which was a double header situation. Now, because the PSL has shift windows, we are in this April-May window for the first time, going head on with the IPL. The PSL is more stretched out in the sense that there's less double headers. I think there's only 2 or 3 matches that are happening
three double headers
in the daytime. Yeah. So most matches are happening in the night, also just to accommodate with the hot and humid conditions of Pakistan in this time of the year. We're actually having lots of night matches and night matches that are starting quite late in the night. I think like 8 p.m.
8 p.m. toss time, 8:30 game time, bro.
That was just for the first match because it was the opening ceremony, but the rest of the matches, I think it's 7:30 p.m. toss, 8 p.m. match starts.
These grounds are full, and there's kids there. These games end around 11, and then you probably get home by 12. Who's studying in Pakistan?
Think of the players. They get home probably back to their hotels like 1 a.m., 2 a.m.
Yeah, but they sleep late into the day then, right?
They sleep in.
But what about the kids? I'm thinking about the thousands of kids that show up to these games, and then they have school the next day, and then they're groggy in the morning because Babar Azam got a 2-ball duck.
That is a separate discussion.
Yeah, I mean, that's upsetting for them, right? The Pindi kids, I'm worried about them.
I think the Pindi pitch is being a bit unpredictable because the first match that happened, Lahore seemed clueless as to how to play on this pitch. Lahore was playing on a different pitch, and Abdullah Shafiq was playing on a different pitch because
IU was playing on a different pitch.
Yes, and then this match we got to see a bit of the true essence of what the actual Pindi pitch promises, with Quetta scoring 216 runs in the first innings. Contributions from Shakil, Finn Allen, Hassan Nawaz was back in the runs. It's an opener, but he's playing one down to accommodate for Saud and Finn Allen.
I also kind of like that some of these traditional players that play in traditional roles are sort of moved around just to accommodate for whoever, but it also gives them versatility. If there's ever a callback for the Pakistan cricket team, Hassan Nawaz can potentially play 3 and 4. You have Saman Yaga playing at 5. You have some other players playing up and down. I think it's a good tactic that you don't have your role play. You don't have your role players playing at the exact same location that they always play, just so you have some sort of variability if the Pakistan cricket call up ever comes.
I think flexibility is the name of the game at T20s. The issue we're facing in the past few years is that if you look at the domestic tournaments that happen in Pakistan, and if you go for the top scorers and top wicket takers, the top scorers are guys who bat in the top three. And so we already had players like Babar, Rizwan, and Saim in the past year and a half. And so if you give an opportunity to top performers, they're openers, they're top order batsmen, right? So and there's no space in the top order for Pakistan right now. So we had to give guys like Hasibullah and Sadat Farhan opportunity at number 6, number 7.
Yeah, it's because it's the demands of the game right now, for at least for Pakistan's lenses. They're 1, 2, 3, 4 almost a sort of setup. It's after that, the 5, 6, 7 that has work to do. And I believe that if Pakistan can find somebody in that slot during this PSL, that'll be the real win.
Our boy Saim Ayub is sort of the epitome of what gully cricket in Karachi is.
Yes.
Where he is the opening bowler and he is the opening batsman. Luckily, as of now, he's not the captain yet, and he does not field in slips.
What is the take there?
The take is that in Karachi, when you're playing gully cricket,
yeah,
if you're the captain, or if you own the bats and the balls, you're the guy who bowls first, bats first, and fields in the slips.
Also, another gully cricket rule that I just remembered was that if you're playing outside of your house, it's your ground, so you get to call the rules. I mean, Saim Ayub, I'm glad that there's a gully cricket angle to his cricket, but not the toxic Karachi Khalifa angle that is also prevalent in Karachi cricket. He's sort of still like making his way into the team. Also, even though the Zalmi team, he's kind of, I wouldn't say the veteran, but he's kind of like one of the senior people there, and he has a lot of a big role in that leadership department when it comes to Zalmi. And I'm glad that he's still there in that aspect of it. But the Khilafat aspect or the Khalifa aspect of it, I'm glad that he's staying away from that.
Saim was back. It's good to see him back, fit, bowling, batting. In the runs, he scored a 50 off 38 balls, which is...
Now, I'm not to jump the gun, Bashar, but Saim scored 50 off 38, and Backward Point's social media has praised him. Like, great to see you back. And, what a wonderful half century. And then, literally the next game, Mr. Kaptana scores 100 and something off 63, and Backward Point says, is that century too slow? So I'm here to ask you on behalf of the fans, are you two-faced?
Well, to correct you, I said great to see Saim Ayub back and scoring runs. I didn't say that I liked him scoring runs at the pace he did or that he contributed towards Zalmi. I just said it was good to see him back, fully fit and scoring runs. There was no comment on Saim's innings or his strike rate.
No.
Or the boundary scoring options. It was just a comment on him being fully fit and batting again.
It was more like an acknowledgement that he's back.
It was a sight for sore eyes.
Yeah. Okay. And what about Mr. Rizwan's innings?
I think we'll get to that. We have a separate section of Rizwan.
Okay. So not to jump the gun, but the critics are already out there and saying what they are. So I just wanted to put that in your head before we move forward.
I think the talk of this entire weekend was Babar Azam's duck. And the duck is not really that big of a deal as much as it is that it came against Muhammad Amir. And Amir and Babar have developed this rivalry, in the past few years. We had Yusuf Shamsi, one of our patrons, comment that it was good to see Amir talking smack against Babar a couple of years ago, because that just made the games against Karachi Kings and Zalmi a lot more interesting. Because aside from Lahore and Karachi's matches, there's not a lot of big rivalries developed in the PSL. So having players go head on, even though he didn't mean it seriously, like Amir said that bowling to Babar is the same to me as bowling to a tailender. Now, the media took that statement and over-exaggerated what that meant.
The media basically said that Amir is saying that bowling to Babar is like bowling to a tailender and not the same as, which are two different things. I agree with that. I also don't understand this. Maybe it's just good theater, and that's what I'm trying to I know maybe that's what I'm missing. But Amir seemed over-aggressive. Like, first delivery, talking smack to Saim Ayub, talking smack to Babar. Lots of finger wagging, lots of lip reading. If you're good at that stuff, you know exactly what he's trying to say. And then you see him, just over celebrate Babar's wicket a little bit. And Babar, man, this guy cannot catch a break. All of his naysayers, all of his critics are out there. Shoaib Malik is playing in that team. Amir is playing in that team. Some would call it the next toxic 11, but we'll leave it to the fans to decide that. And this guy just cannot find a way to reply on the field like he said he would back in 2023 in that presser, if you remember. Journalists asked him about these series of questions and he said, field mein jawab denge. Right? That was 2023. We're still waiting. And this guy I feel for him sometimes. It was a very soft dismissal the way he got out on covers. It seemed like a plan that was executed to perfection. So kudos to Muhammad Amir.
Amir has developed an outswinger to a righty.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the first over, but ball by ball, the first delivery he balled cut Saim Ayub in half.
Yeah, he was going to go for the big shot and then just was like, whoa.
Saim was waiting for the outswinger that would go like leave him and he would like go to cut it or drive it, but it nipped back and it seemed like Muhammad Amir is focusing a lot on Wasim Akram's bowling tips.
Yeah, late into his career too. Like, where was this in the 2024 World Cup? Many people are asking.
Yeah, so there is a lot of history between Amir and Babar because Amir was very critical of Babar when he was on TV. He even said that Babar is not a T20 player. And he also said that the reason why Babar is in the top rankings is because he plays all the matches. You know, if you give anybody all the matches, they'll score runs and they'll come on top.
There's an argument that if Virat Kohli had played quote unquote all the games, then he probably would have been closer to 100 centuries.
And you can also sort of document Amir's being dropped in the Pakistan team with Babar being captain. And Amir took his retirement back last year. And what we heard is that was because Shaheen convinced Amir to come back.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, that's not what we heard. Everybody knows this.
Shaheen convinced Amir to come back, but then Shaheen lost captaincy, but Amir already agreed to coming back. And it was sort of a win-win situation for Amir to come back, play a World Cup, become more relevant in the league cricket stage. And post that World Cup, Amir was asked whether he regrets coming back last year, and he said he did. That he wished he did not take his retirement back. And I don't know, he also mentioned that he felt like he wasn't welcome back in the Pakistan team. And this goes back to Babar's leadership, his captaincy. And maybe that's just how Babar made Amir feel.
I don't know, man. Like, if you're out of the team for the past 5 years and you suddenly show up with a brand new squad, brand new set of players, brand new ethos, brand new management, and you just feel like you're going to be welcomed in open arms, that's not the case. 5 years ago when he retired, the team was different. The players were different. Honestly, like, after he retired, the team got more close. They got, the chemistry between the 2020 to 2023 team was just immaculate. Like, we kept talking about the Dosti 11, the Yari 11,
Wholesome 11.
Wholesome 11. We, depending on who you talk to, you had different monikers for that. And just Amir and Imad both stepping into a frame that was already sort of developed. Yeah, it created a rift. If they thought they were going to be welcomed with open arms and open hearts, well, it's cricket.
Back to Amir versus Babar. Now, there's a couple of clips being circulated of Amir dismissing Babar. And the perception is that Amir owns Babar in T20s. Now, your boy went out there, ESPN Cricket Info, Stats Guru, and I pulled the numbers out.
All right, give it to us.
Amir versus Babar, 6 innings, 28 balls, 28 runs, 2 dismissals, 14 average. So, I don't know. The sample size is kind of small. 6 innings, Babar's faced Amir and Babar head on. Out of 6 times, Amir's gotten him out twice. Babar scored at run a ball. What's your take?
The take is that it's definitely leaning toward Muhammad Amir here. He has the advantage over Babar Azam, but it's more like 55-45 than it is 70-30. That's just a very neutral take, I believe. The hot take is, oh my God, Babar can't play Amir. But I'm not going to make that take right now.
Also, Babar didn't come out facing. It was Saim Ayub facing the first ball.
I think, isn't that always the case?
I do think Babar likes to be on the non-striker end.
Yeah. That's not an issue. Stop pulling at straws against Babar Azam.
I mean,
the Syed check stop and you just become this
If
person.
I'm Babar, I would want to face the first ball because, Saim is coming back from injury. What if he gets a golden duck? I don't know.
Okay, I see what you're saying. You're trying to be a little bit altruistic, but that's not how things roll in Zalmi, man. Yeah, so I guess it was tough. PZ found themselves chasing 216, which I thought was honestly doable, but with the early wickets early on, like head on, it's really hard to recover from that.
PZ has no batting depth. They had Alzari Joseph coming at number 8 and Mitchell Owen, who was a top order batsman in the Big Bash from Australia. He was batting at number 7 for some reason, and he hit 31 off 13.
It's not even that. Like, Babar 2-ball duck, TKC 2-ball duck, Max Bryant golden duck. The game's gone right there. Even though they found themselves at 136, it's still pretty commendable because with Hussein Talat and Mitch Owen coming out down from the bottom, trying to stir something up for them. It was actually nice to see Hussein Talat in the runs, and not only just in the runs, 185 strike rate. That's gonna, if he just clicks throughout this PSL, that might be the missing batting depth that PZ would need.
He is a solid batsman. I rate him quite highly. And
also a nice guy because he asked about your broken hand when you met him.
Yeah, so we met Hussein Talat in 2023. He was playing here in Canada for Brampton Wolves. And,
TT20,
yeah, and I happened to have fractured my finger taking a catch. I took the catch, by the way, but I fractured my finger because the quality of the ball that we were facing playing with in the league was horrendous.
Yeah.
And so Hussein Talat was like, it's actually not fractured. Just put some cream on it.
Didn't he like squish your fingers and stuff?
Yeah,
like
he did. Like he shook my hand and he's like, oh, you're fine. But I'm like, bro, I just had an x-ray and it's fractured. And he's like, I just put some cream on it. It'll be fine. I was in a cast for
maybe
4
not.
weeks.
Do not seek Hussein Talat's medical advice, but good innings from him nonetheless.
Yes.
Not much to say. PZ started in a horrible way. Quetta though 216, pretty good. Rawalpindi pitched. I still think that's probably going to be par on this ground, and with the batting depth that most of these teams have, 200 should be scored and chased.
I want to ask you about Abrar Ahmed. He took 4 wickets, and Abrar has this new signature celebration style.
Post Shubman Gill.
The first time we saw this on screen was when he got Shubman Gill bowled. We were there. We witnessed it live. And I can tell you for a fact that the Indian crowd, which was 95% there, did not like that. And actually, if you go to Babar Ahmed's Instagram profile, there were about 25,000 comments on his last post. And for reference, Babar has about, I think, 40,000 followers. And you best believe those were not nice comments by our neighboring country.
Welcome to our comment section, guys. Abrar, that's how we feel.
And then
all the
Abrar,
time.
for some reason, thought it was a good idea to post a picture of him having tea and saying it's fantastic.
Yeah, that has nothing.
And then Varun Chakravarti won the Champions Trophy and posted a picture of him having tea with the Champions Trophy. Like there was some like drama going on there with Abrar.
Inzam ul Haq, that was the biggest shut up that you could ever do.
So what do you think? Is this like, we've seen celebrations in the past. There was this bowler from the West Indies. I don't know if you remember his name. I do. I just want to check if you know.
Corey Collymore.
No.
Oh.
He had this thing where he would like take a wicket and he would like write the person's name down in the book and like just, erase it.
Yes. And then didn't Virat Kohli like completely destroy him and he kept doing that on his bat?
Do you remember his name?
Can I get a hint?
Starts with a K. So his name was Kesrick Williams. This was a survey because he came out doing such celebrations and you don't even know his name.
Yeah, but I remember the celebration because that clip went extremely viral across the internet.
His career sort of went downhill because his action got called for being suspect, and then I think he got banned for his action. He couldn't play anymore.
I think Abrar is good in that regard. I just think this goes back to the earlier arguments we had before the Champions Trophy started. Is that the more India and Pakistan play each other, the more stars they develop. And if Babar Ahmed from that one moment can just turn his personality into this now, that just means that moment and that wicket weighed a lot for him, apart from the other wickets, and that's who he is now, which is fine. I don't mind it. I think it's a bit disrespectful in a good way. There should be some sort of rivalry. There should be some sort of pushback. And Babar Ahmed is basically a fast bowler in a spinner's body.
We said that. We've said that.
I just said it again.
Yeah.
So I don't mind it at all. I think, let's move forward to the next games. I think
everyone's waiting for this this breakdown.
All right. MS versus KK. 234 on the board by Multan Sultans. Let me tell you the scorecard.
Before we go to the match, I just want to ask you because you tweeted this when the IPL started and there was like high scoring matches. You were like, "This is not fun." And now the same thing is happening in the PSL where there's high scoring matches in Pindi and 234 is being chased in Karachi. Do you still have the similar take where high scoring
matches? The take
matches?
is the same. I think the take is the same. There's also a difference between 286 or whatever was scored there versus 230. The difference is the same as if a team was trying to chase 130 versus 180. Those are two completely different totals. But at the same time, it's ridiculous. 234, 236. I think it's a lot of runs. Pindi has been known to be that just flat track. It's basically you're playing on cement.
This was in Karachi.
No, I know, but there's like 200s also scored in the
Right.
other in Pindy as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
the first
So
match.
I'm just saying, like, it's like if you watch the highlights, even if you watch the long highlights, it's like this cricket is being washed over you. It's not being it's being played at you. And as someone who likes competitive 180 to 200 scores, that's sort of my sweet spot. 170 is also pretty good if you can defend it. That's where I like my cricket being, especially T20Is. There should be some balance between bat and ball. That's not just me saying it. There is a clip of Virat Kohli going viral of a pitchside interview he gave in 2023, I believe, where he said the same thing. This is not sustainable. It's not fun. There should be a balance between bat and ball. Cricket is a game of both sides and not just how many sixes you can hit. And I totally agree. I don't think, even if it's in the IPL, if it's in the PSL, I don't like it. I don't agree with it. That being said, that is the nature of the game. You know, I need to talk about what is happening and not what I want to happen. 234 on the board. The scorecard is Mohammad Rizwan 105 off 63, Shea Hope 8, Kamran Ghulam 36 off 19, Michael Braceville 44 off 17. I mean, the standout performance here is Mo Rizwan with 105, 234 on the board. And then you had the audacity to put on your story, is Rizwan's century too slow? How would I give you the floor and you explain yourself?
So 234 is a score by Multan, but it is chased by Karachi with 4 balls to spare. Now, Multan is very lucky that they got 22 runs from extras. If their actual runs are like just 224.
20 wides, 1 no ball.
214.
20 wides, 1 no ball, and 1 leg by was Multan Sultan's added score.
Right. So I was just comparing the 2 innings because obviously that's what you do. In Multan, Rizwan scored a century off 61 balls. For Karachi, James Vince scored a century off 42 balls.
Mm-hmm.
So almost a 19 ball difference. And then the next thing that I was considering is if you go on Cricket Info, there's a way to check stats, the impact list. And if you go towards top 5 players who have made an impact, number 1 was James Vince, who was the man of the match for a century. Rizwan on that list is on number 5. Rizwan scored 105 off 63 balls, but his actual impact runs are 89 versus James Vince, who scored 101 off 43 balls. His actual impact runs calculated by Cricket Info are 126. And I was also thinking, like, in a match where 234 is being scored, it's very important to analyze a person's innings who has consumed 63 deliveries of the match. That is more than half the innings. So when somebody is facing more than half the innings, 10.3 overs, the onus is on them to score at a high rate. And if Rizwan has scored 100 and what did he score? 105 off 63 balls. That is below par to what the scoring rate is in the actual match. I mean, it's thankful to Michael Bracewell and the extras that they got to 234. If not that, they would have underscored by quite a lot. And how Rizwan paces his innings is that he likes to start off slow, like score 50 off 37, 38 balls. And then him and Babar, they like to accelerate towards the end, like in the last 10 to 5 overs. And that's what Rizwan did here.
Rizwan was 17 off 14 deliveries. And then Rizwan was 20 off 19 deliveries. And then Rizwan was 34 off 25, to 37 off 28, 50 off 38, 58 off 42, 60 off 44, 62 off 46. I'm just trying to let you know, 86 off 56, 88 off 58, and then 104 off 62, 105 off 63 was his final. I just try to relay the timeline out because there were moments in his innings where he was almost unrunnable. On a flat, dead track on Rawalpindi, almost runnable. So the short answer to your question is Mohammad Rizwan's 105 off 63 a slow innings? The short answer is yes, it is a slow innings.
I asked this question to our Instagram because we have quite a few number of fans there. And my question was Rizwan's innings too slow? 2 options, yes and no. We've got close to 3,000 people who voted. 48% said yes, Rizwan's innings was slow. 52% said it was not slow. So the majority of the people, by just a tad bit, do think that Rizwan's innings was on par.
I mean, opinions are opinions, but facts speak for themselves. If an opener is batting Rawalpindi, batting Paradise, and has almost run a ball at one point, it has to say a lot about where the mindset is, where the intent is. We've been getting a lot of pushback on just, not considering Mohammad Rizwan an ideal T20 player. One of the comments I got in our DMs was similar that, hey, the Saim Ayub thing that I mentioned before, where Saim Ayub scored X amount of runs on X amount of balls and you guys praised him. But basically it was just around the same strike rate that Mohammad Rizwan played his innings. And yet you're being critical about it. Saim Ayub is coming back from an injury. He hasn't played cricket in about 5 months. And Mohammad Rizwan was a captain and played an opening position for the better part of 5 years for Pakistan cricket and basically stagnated. Saim Ayub still has a full career ahead of himself. Rizwan, I don't know. This 105, I don't know if I can rate that in anywhere in his pantheon of runs. This was very similar to the half century that he scored in the semifinal against Australia, which he regards as his best innings. And I believe it was in the press conference. It was some press conference, or maybe it was an Eid special. Where Fakhr Zaman said that I regard only the innings that I win as some of the best innings that I've had. And it was right after Rizwan said that his favorite innings was the Australian.
What was your favorite spell of last summer?
Was my favorite spell of last summer? Off the top of my head? I don't remember, man. Maybe the Bumrah against South Africa thing?
No, your personal, like when you were playing in the summer. What was your personal favorite spell?
I think I took a 3 for against a team. We bowled them out for like 100 or something, and we chased it in like 18 overs.
Okay.
Probably.
So you picked a performance where the team won.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. And so Rizwan said that his favorite innings is the
semifinal that they lost.
Yeah.
That they should have won.
At a strike rate of 127, I believe.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's where I stand in my opinion of Mohammad Rizwan. I don't know. I would love to actually to have I would love to have Ali Tareen on the podcast one day, someday, and just question him about that. Because, obviously he's a very technical guy and he's a consumer of modern cricket. What he thinks about that. Because his captain, in the national side has had many opportunities to evolve, but has not. And then now that's sort of seeping in through the design of the Multan Sultans as well.
So Ali Tareen is quite aware of Rizwan and his limitations in T20s. Ali Tareen rates Rizwan's captaincy very high. I was watching their PSL draft documentary that just happened for the season, and he is well aware that Rizwan is in anger. And in order to accommodate for Rizwan, they need to have guys who play at high strike rate with him as an opener and one down. That's why they have Usman Khan, who strikes at 170 plus in the PSL. And they tried to get Shea Hope, who has improved his T20 game by a lot this past couple of years, to help accommodate for how Rizwan paces his innings in T20s.
The only two people that kind of accommodated the pace of Rizwan's innings was KG and Michael Bracewell. Shea Hope and Usman Khan were both unavailable, I believe, for the accommodation. And that's a problem. If Multan Sultans want themselves to see themselves in the playoffs, the top 4 has to step up, basically.
I love the chase from Karachi Kings. I was hearing some footage from the Karachi dugout, and David Warner as captain, he emphasized the importance of attitude in the players. He said, win or lose, I want everybody to give 100% on the field, have a positive attitude, help out if you can. And I think he's trying to instill this thing within the team and the mentality. And I think Karachi's done a terrific job at the draft. They've got guys like Tim Seifert opening with David Warner and James Vince and Sean Masood. Interesting about Karachi is that they've got about 3 left-handers in their top 6. They tried to use Arafat bin Haas, my boy, at number 5 today, ahead of Khuzdul Shah. But Khuzdul came in and he showed the importance of genuine 6 hitting. At one point, Khuzdul was also like playing at a 130, 140 strike rate. But then there was one over where he hit 3 sixes in a row and he covered everything up, got to his 50. And his innings and the partnership with James Vince just set the platform up for Karachi to win with 4 balls to spare.
Man, James Vince was just batting like the disrespect he was throwing at the Multan Sultan teams. That's sort of the Karachi attitude. And I think the Air White team and Saman Iqbal actually kind of nailed it with this David Warner signing, because David Warner has the exact Karachi attitude that's been missing from this team. And David Warner actually, I was looking at the behind the scenes footage that you were talking about, the dugout footage. He kind of cares, which is weird. I mean, the thing that was most shocking to me, the comment that Ali Tareen made about David Warner is that he doesn't like his attitude and it might not work in the Multan Sultan's framework. And then David Warner comes out and actually like gives 110% and actually wants to win this thing for Karachi Kings. That's wild to me, because his reaction to winning the game just showed me that this guy is not here for a paycheck. This guy's here to see this team through. And if he can actually do that with this side, I think Karachi Kings are on the cusp of something. And if they can capture it and bottle it and store it for the rest of the tournament, they might actually come out and play the final.
I think it has to do with David Warner's Australian winning mentality. Australians want to win.
No matter what.
That's how they've been built since they were kids. And they're extremely competitive once they go on the field. So I think if Karachi keep playing like this and they keep winning, it'll have two things. The first impact it'll have is that it might get more Karachi people to show up in the stadiums.
Let's talk about that.
But number two, it might reconvince us, Karachi people, Karachi residents, who are now supporting a different team than Karachi, to reconsider their affiliation from other teams and go back to supporting Karachi.
I think it's not that. I think Karachi Kings has sort of lost the plot in that connection that you're talking about with their fans. The reason that Karachi people do not show up for PSL games is because they have no affiliation with this Karachi Kings team. When was the last time you heard that Karachi Kings, the team itself, did anything for support or did anything for basically team building or audience building or audience branding or audience awareness in the city of Karachi? I mean, we were at the PSL last year in Karachi. After we went to Islamabad, we went to Karachi with family, and there was nothing that even remotely indicated that Karachi Kings is the team of the city.
Well, is that Karachi's responsibility or is that PSL's responsibility?
It's Karachi Kings' responsibility, man. The Toronto Raptors have grassroots organizations. They take part in ads. Like, a lot of the Raptors are the face of the Osmos. And Osmos is in every single student campus. I'm saying that the branding and the marketing works hand in hand to make sure that your label and your name is in the grassroots as much as possible in the city that you're representing. Karachi Kings does not do that. And that maybe goes back to the point that the owners were making before that, hey, we feel like we're not even owning this team, we're renting it. So why should we put effort in team building or branding of this team within the city? But that has like a domino effect of, if you don't do that, you lose connection with your core fan base, and your core fan base doesn't show up for your games now. Then, like, I was genuinely embarrassed that the Karachi stadium was empty, but I was not surprised.
Yeah, because it's just we both watched games in Karachi in the past couple of years. I've watched a test match. You've watched an ODI match. You watched Babar's 100th ODI match. I watched the test match where Sarfaraz scored a century on the last day against New Zealand to save the test match. And I think our experiences of getting into the ground were horrible. You almost got your AirPods confiscated. Yeah. Once you get into the ground, the bathrooms, the viewing experience,
the food,
it's not good.
Yeah,
right. Karachi is the only stadium that didn't go through a revamp in terms of the fan viewing experience. The stands in Karachi are exactly the same. There's huge railings in front of it where fences where it blocks the view. You got to like sit 10 rows behind to actually get a good view.
And at that point, you're like so far away from the game.
Like, I'd rather be watching at home on my TV.
I think maybe there is a potential for maybe you and I to do a deep dive 20-30 minute episode on Karachi and why it doesn't show up. But these are basically the big bullet points. I would implore all of our listeners, especially if you're from Karachi, comment and let us know why you aren't going to the games. Like, most of us would probably agree with the reasoning, but give it to us in writing and we'll take some in the podcast next time.
Someone that has been showing up consistently for Backward Point is Yashi Sports.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You're good with the corporate.
Yashi Sports, they're Canada's home of cricket. Yesterday, me and you had our first getting ready for the season net session with our team. And I used my Yashi Sports thigh pad.
How was it?
Now, these thigh pads are very important because when I got to Yashi Sports, I was going to buy the Moonwalker thigh pads because that's what I see players wearing. And they were on the higher end price point. But I got the expert advice from Yashi Sports. And they're like, you know what? No offense, but you bet number 11. And I think for you, it might be a better option, a more efficient option to get the Yashi Sports branded thigh pads. They work the same way as the Moonwalkers. And I was a bit skeptical, but I trusted the expert advice. I used them yesterday and they work perfectly
and
fine.
As a person who was bowling to you at the nets, I can assure that his game had improved somehow.
Yeah, I felt quite comfortable.
I mean, he was hitting a lot more than he used to before.
I felt safe, and I used my exclusive code, BP10, and I got 10% off those thigh pads.
So the bottom line is, if you use Yashi Sports, you will be a better cricketer.
Shout out Yashi Sports, Canada's home of cricket.
Awesome. Let's cover the most recent game that was the last game that was today's game, which was Lahore Qalandars versus Quetta Gladiators. Now, Lahore Qalandars did something that I never thought they would do, win. And boy, did they win. Fakhar Zaman found his footing back, which is very important not only for Fakhar Zaman, not only for Lahore Qalandars, but also for the general Pakistani fan base. I think that this Fakhar innings indicates that Fakhar is here to stay, and he might actually be one of those players that if he gets his mojo going, beware everybody else, because his contribution was so important for Lahore to cross that 200 mark. And he basically set the foundation at scoring at a strike rate of 170 plus to make sure that nobody else seemed bogged down. What do you think of this Mohammad Naeem kid? He's only been a couple of games in the PSL. Does he look like he's a standout, or does he look like we need more sample sizes to have a proper judgment?
I need to see more of him.
More of him?
For now, I think I've just seen him play 2 innings, and these are just the only innings I've seen him play on live television. And these are the only 2 matches he has in his entire professional career.
So I was told recently that the ESPN Cricket Info actually has some of the games that he's played for Pakistan under 19s and domestic games classified under a different Mohammad Naeem, and he's trying to fix it. It's an Agha Salman Ali Agha situation, and he actually has played some games for Pakistan, not for Pakistan, but for the domestic structure in Pakistan, about 7 or 10. And he's getting that sorted out. So it's not a clean slate for him at Cricket Info at all.
Okay, my bad. I had no
Fair
idea.
enough. That's okay. But you're right. He's relatively new and he doesn't have a lot of experience. So maybe a couple more games, maybe a few more games, maybe up to 5 games, and then we talk about him a little bit more.
It's always tricky for teams to pick which player to pick and what role to give an emerging player. Because if you give an emerging player a role of an opener, they're facing some of the best bowlers at high pace in the power play, which is tricky because if they flop, they're consuming deliveries, the confidence is going down. So typically what I've seen is that teams go for a bowler as their emerging pick. So last year, Islamabad United played Hunain Shah as their emerging bowler. And Hunain Shah would come in at second or third change, ball in the middle overs. And also they would have a 6th or 7th bowler in Salman Ali Agha or Imad Wasim to ball Hunain's over in case it doesn't go right.
Yeah. You can't do that for a batsman.
Which is more, it just gives more cushioning to that player.
Yeah, you can't do that for a batsman. So the batsman has more onus on himself to go out there and actually prove his mettle. Which I believe Mohammad Naeem needs a little bit more time for us to actually sit back and properly analyze him. But that is what I was talking about. It gives the way to Abdullah Shafiq to play a third fiddle, which is what we were talking about at the top of the podcast. A lot of these players are sort of not playing their traditional roles, and that is good because that gives them flexibility. That gives selectors in the future flexibility, and that gives us as fans and analysts flexibility to understand what the range of the player is. So Abdullah Shafiq comes out, 1 down, 176 strike rate, 37 off 21. I think it was a great innings.
He looked good. He looks good since the last game. I think he knows how to play in Bindi. He is playing just proper cricketing shots, middling a lot of deliveries, and he's looking back into good form.
How much do you reckon we would score if we were in Bindi? Because that pitch looks flat, man. Would we struggle, or would we actually?
I'm self-aware. I would struggle.
You would struggle?
I would struggle against pace.
What about spin? What if I got Babar Ahmed in front of you and you need 10 off the
Can I fish it up? Because I know I saw my batting highlights from yesterday, and I was pretty good on the short pitch deliveries against spin. I was pretty fast to rock back on my back foot.
Are you trying to say I was bowling short?
I'm sorry?
Are you trying to say I was bowling short yesterday?
No, not you. It was against someone else.
Okay. Because I was rusty. So I would not want to be judged at that performance in my nets. But you best believe that it's going to get better as the season goes on.
I think the game-changing knock of this entire Lahore innings was the Sam Billings 50 off 19.
I thought he should have been player of the match, in my opinion.
Impact. Just he hit Amir in this one last over in the death all over the place. Like Amir, like a bowler like Amir's class and his smartness, Amir was clueless. He would ball a wide Yorker, dap for 4, bouncer, over third man for 4, outside off stump, 6 over covers, just clean hitting, clean striking. And it's kind of shocking to me that guys like Sam Billings and James Vince, who are top scorers in leagues around the world, can't even get a spot in England's white ball team, which shows the white ball talent depth that England has.
Somehow that depth talent does not show up for ICC events, but that's a whole different attitude. And as a Pakistani cricket fan, I should not be saying that. I have a question about some old familiar flames. Shoaib Malik is playing for Quetta. Thoughts, feelings?
I saw the whole Quetta innings and just never really got going. They were like 9 for 3 at one point. And then Shoaib Malik came in, and I think Shoaib Malik thought it was an ODI match. He was looking to get singles and doubles and rotating strike. And when you're chasing something like 214, it was 219,
219.
220. you can't really afford to get that many singles and doubles. I get it, the first 4 or 5 runs you can take and rotate strike, but there has to be a point where you start attacking and taking chances. So Shoaib never really got going. And plus, if you look at his bowling performances in the last 2 matches, I think the first match he gave away like 19 runs, and this match he gave away like 16 runs.
Yep.
In his over. So he's being costly as a bowler, as a like a backup bowling option, and then he's not scoring runs. He looks a bit rusty, and that happens when you don't play competitive cricket for a good part of a few months.
So what's the thought process? Why is he in the team?
Experience, mentorship. Honestly, if I was Quetta, I would have someone like a Qasim Akram or a Mubassir Khan, who are also off spinning, batting rounders.
Yeah, so isn't that the same argument that we were making for against David Weesey in the previous podcast, which is he's old, he should not be in this squad, and if he's a mentor, he should mentee his people from the bench and not from the squad.
I think Lahore heard you because they benched him.
And I think Quetta will hear me as well, because I don't think this will go on much longer.
And we also said that Lahore is missing a wrist spinner, and I'm not sure why they weren't playing Rishad Hussain earlier. Rishad Hussain, I think, is a terrific prospect for Bangladesh. We saw him bowl live in the Asia Cup against India, and he got the prized wicket of Virat Kohli in that match. So he looks good. I think he has a bright future, and he's, I think, one of the few players who is becoming a globetrotter within the league circuit. He was also picked by Hobart Hurricanes in the last year's Big Bash.
Yes,
which Hobart won.
3 for 31 in this game, basically taking big wickets in the middle, which is exactly what a wrist.
That's what you need.
That's what you need. And you know, good start from Shaheen on the top too.
Shaheen's pace was good.
145.
145.
Yeah.
Are the speed guns rigged, or is Shaheen try a lot harder in the PSL?
I mean, he only bowled a couple. He only gave 6 and took 2 crucial wickets up top. So I don't know. Again, too early in the tournament to say anything definitive, but I like where this is going. I think this might be a good place to wrap up.
Just one last question.
Okay.
What do you make of this Usman Tariq guy?
The stop in the action and everything?
Yeah. Like it's like he pauses his action. You can like go make noodles or something, come back, and then he delivers his ball.
He seems to me, and I say this with like reverence and a little bit of as a compliment, but he seems very cartoonish in the way like an anime character might be. Like very like I feel like when he pauses, like a lot of million things go off in his head, and there's like a split screen, and like things are going off, and he's thinking, and there's a monologue, and then he bowls his delivery. So I'm all for it. It's good theater, and it makes for a good viewing experience. Also, it helps me understand what the batsman is going to do when he sees the pause happen, because it's a cricket is emotion. It's everything is related to everything. There's momentum, and he kind of breaks it, and it's interesting how far along this shtick can go.
He has variations. He has his ball that is regular finger spin that just spins away from the righty. And then he has one that darts back in. Then he also has a round arm ball from a different angle that just he nips it away.
Man, he's going to be important. And I just want to see more of him again. It's very early in the tournament to actually make any definitive calls on anybody. And some people are looking really good. Some people are looking really bad right now. But we'll talk in like maybe 10, 15 days and see where everybody is.
Yeah. Also, Usman Tariq's action got called as suspect last year. So there's some doubts on the legality of his bowling action still.
Whose isn't being called, bro? Everybody's being called these days. I feel like I heard about Adam Kuhneman or Daniel Kuhneman, or who is that? The Australian bowler who got called out for suspect of action right after he played, I believe it was the IPL or some Indian series. He got called out, and he got cleared, but like it's rough out there. If you're a bowler that's stopping in the middle of the action, good luck for you.
Good thing Saklan already played 20 years ago.
All right, so that was our weekend roundup. We will continue our daily wrap up starting from tomorrow. And are there any gap days at all, or just continuous 41 days straight?
There's probably some gap days.
Some gap days in there for sure. We took our gap day already, so we're not going to be taking any more. We're going to be here for every single day for the PSL Daily. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to our Patreon fam. Thank you to our Discord server. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to you, Bashar, for being here with me. And we'll catch you guys on the flippity flip.